Good afternoon and welcome to another Africam show proudly brought to you by explore.org. My name is Taylor McCurdy and I'll be hosting you for the next 30 minutes watching all sorts of weird and wonderful creatures. And I suppose we are looking at one of them right now. This is a live and interactive show, and of course I'd love to hear from you, so please send your questions through. Or any comments. So me and all my personalities, what I'll do is I'll just wait a couple minutes just till a few of you jump on board and say hello. And then we'll kind of get going. It's always nice to know who is here watching. Oh, there we go. Zygote, you said hi Taylor, namaste. Brigid McKinney, hi Taylor, hello, hello to all of you. Are we going to do the thing where you tell me what type of beverage you're all drinking? I don't have anything, although I did have some tea, nice Kenyan tea earlier. Actually, that's all I've been drinking all day long. Adeline, hello to you too. It's so nice that so many of you are joining us today. This is awesome. And we are currently looking at a colony of rock hyrax. This is such a great little spot. I haven't spent too much time with this group of hyrax that live around on these rocks. It's perfect habitat for them. Look at the little caves structures that they have at the moment. And it surprisingly looks like quite a nice day in Cape Town, or just outside Cape Town. Dear NC, said good morning from Seattle. You just made it in time with your coffee. What type of coffee do you prefer? Canadian, you said you've just got your coffee and your water. That's a good combination. And Zygote, you're just eating a Kit Kat. Fair enough. A Kit Kat is a great idea. I actually had a chocolate, well, a very small bite-sized chocolate too, called a Cherry Ripe. If you're from Australia, you'll know what that is. They are delicious. Brigid, you've said you've got iced tea. Rolling Trouble, you said hi from Washington. Coffee and water too. That seems to be the trend. Becky, hello to you too. And lagomorphophobic, goodness, that's a mouthful. I always say that. Try to say that 10 times again. You said hello too. Timber Grace, good morning, everybody from sunny Minneapolis. I can't say the word today. What's wrong with me? You're ready for a great show. Well, then shall we get into it? I think most of you have said hello. But here we have rock hyrax. We have 3 species that we find in Africa, but the rock hyrax is the one that is more common. And I was told that there are youngsters around. And so that's awesome. I'm hoping we get to see a couple of them. I'd like to try and figure out how old they are. Let's see. I feel like I can see some little. Are those little ones? Or is that maybe just a rock feature? Maybe we have a little scan around and see if we can and sort of see them. It's just amazing, of course, that when hyraxes do give birth, and they have such a long gestation period for, well, the size of them, but they're fully developed. Their eyes are open. They've got nice fluffy coats, and they look pretty much exactly the same as the adults, just teeny tiny. Oh, look! Is it one? I keep getting excited. I keep just seeing movement in the shadows, hoping that we'll get a glimpse of one of the youngsters. And also, what do you call them? Infants? Pups? I have absolutely no idea. April R, you said good morning from Connecticut with your iced cherry tea. That sounds nice. I haven't ever tried that before. And Geert, you said good day all, and you're also drinking tea. Oh, maybe these are the babies. They do look quite fluffy. It's just difficult to kind of tell their size. But when these hyraxes are born, they are so small. They're about the size, oh, I've got little hands, but about the size of my hand. They're tiny, which is really, really cute to see. And sometimes they'll sit on the adult's back as well. Oh, Aussie Jan, there you are. I was wondering where you were. So good afternoon. And you're on a coffee break. Okay. Amber, CEO, you're very sweet. You said happy Tuesday. Thank you, Taylor, for your gift of time to be there. These shows are always so much fun, and you love learning new things. Well, that's good. If these are the youngsters, the infants, the pups, the babies, whatever you want to call them, this might be a little nursery group that we're watching, because the adults will quite often sync their births so that they all give birth to youngsters at the same time. They don't have very many young, 1 to 4. I'd imagine 2 is probably the common number there, but they'll all stay in a group together, and that makes so much sense, right? To have one adult overseeing the youngsters while the others go off and kind of forage. Giraffe do something quite similar, which most of you will probably know if you've watched the show a couple of times, and there's so many of you that are regulars. That this is awesome. That's so lovely to see. And they don't have to go too far. There's all this vegetation growing around that they'll happily munch on. And by the looks of it, look how fluffy that thing is. By the looks of it, they'll most certainly be eating vegetation. They only get suckled for, I think it's about 3 months, 3-4 months. But after a couple of days, like a lot of animals, they'll start investigating and tasting vegetation. But it's not necessarily something that they have to consistently keep eating. I love it, just in and out, not leaving the shadows. And even when they are in the shade, they are completely camouflaged. Isn't that wonderful? So I'm just scrolling back up on the chat. I think Kirst, she's directing today, and most of you know Kirsten. Uh, I'd like to, if possible, go to Taos. It sounds like there were some elephants and crocodiles, and if the elephants aren't there, then I'm sure the crocs will still be there. There's the elephant. There's the crocodile. Normally we see the crocodiles sort of sitting out. Oh my goodness, sorry. What's that blackbird on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen? Why do I want to say that that looks like a cormorant or a darter? Or am I going completely crazy and it's just a hardy-dar? Or is it? I don't know what it is. Anyways, it's just really small and dark coloration. But it's nice to see the crocs actually away from the grassy sort of section, which they typically rest on. And I've only seen them a couple of times out of the water like this. Oh, I'm so silly. That's a striated heron. Please excuse me. I don't know where my brain is gone. I just saw it turn its head. Why would I say it's a cormorant? I mean, honestly, sometimes it blows my mind that I am actually even a safari guide. It's unlikely to see a cormorant away from the coast, but of course there are sections where there's enough water where, oh, bye crocodile. No, come back. Crocodile, promise I was going to get to you. Oh, it looks, have you got an injured leg, or are you just being lazy and not using it properly? So yeah, so don't often see cormorants, and especially so far away from the ocean, like at a place like this. That's highly unlikely. I can't believe I said that. Silly me. What did I was going to tell you? I'm pretty sure there was a striated heron. But there's the croc pulling itself even further out of the water. And just now basking in the sun. Very windy though. Tao, you can see how the camera is just shaking a little bit. And last week, Trish and I, on Thursday, when we were hosting Wild Moments, we watched that. Was it last week? We watched an interesting clip with the crocodiles. It was indeed, where the female crocodile was actually digging out the sand to make a nest and then laying eggs. Unbelievable. I can't believe that we were able to witness something like that. Again, I don't think any guides would ever be lucky enough to watch that happening. Oh, okay. And then Mindy, you said that's why we love you. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so clumsy and I stumble on my words and other things in real life. And then Kirsten's just said to me that also sad news, the injured giraffe was eaten by the lions last weekend. Oh no, that was the giraffe that had the stick stuck in its foot. And we were just even talking about last week how we were hoping it would just heal, but it's definitely going to be a difficult thing to escape predators. But that is the circle of life. So a good meal for the lions, but quite sad on the giraffe part. Crocodile with its mouth open. That's called the gular flutter, which we see quite open. They quite often will cool down via evaporation, but also if they need to warm up, they can do the same thing. So it serves two different purposes. And I love the coloration on this crocodile. Dark, but then the vibrant yellow actually just pops really well. And you wouldn't think that that would help aid in camouflage, but it does. I like that you can see just to the left of its tail where it sort of dragged itself to a new place to bask. Nice cover from the rock too. Okay, let's head over to Aldonio, my favorite camera in the whole wide world, and see what animals are around the waterhole. Giraffe and an impala. Oh, that's nice. East African impala with their beautiful big splay of horns. Is that impala alarming? Or am I going crazy? No, maybe I was hearing things. I thought I could hear, but which is a very poor impression of an impala alarm call, but I don't think that's the case. Ada and Katie from Iowa, you've said you're enjoying breakfast. Oh, that's nice. What you eating? Jan Powers, you said late but finally made it. Thank you for squeezing in just in the nick of time. And it's quite sad to see today with this water hole, how there's almost no water in it. It's dried up. I'm not sure if they're having an issue with the pump. I imagine that this water is connected to a borehole also, a groundwater. And where that giraffe is kind of looking around, that's where one of the pipes are that trickles water consistently into this pan, but there's no luck. And there would have been many other animals around this waterhole. There would have been elephants, earline zebras for days, the usual culprits. And there's a nice look at the sky, the clouds. So very sad for the animals. I'm sure they're all quite disappointed as they come down to have a drink and there's really no water here at all. Where are you going to go? I don't even know where the next closest water source is. But look at that. Giraffe is just so upset, kind of looking back at it going, am I imagining this? There was water here yesterday and the day before. Where did it all go? Sorry, girl. What was it? Oh, it looks like she's now looking out, though, for other giraffe going, have you seen this? No water. I passed Frank earlier today, and he didn't even say anything. Of course, I'm talking complete nonsense. That's not the conversations that the giraffe have. Imagine it did, though. Not wasting any time, and now moving away. Oh, Kirst actually said that she did hear an alarm, so I wonder what's lingering around the water's edge, or if it's just panicky impala. Okay, well, seeing as though there's not any water here, we might be limited for animals, so let's go back to Tau and watch one of my favorite birds. There's the heron again. Shall we just call it a cormorant for fun? I can't believe I said that, so I'm so embarrassing. This is a 190% striated heron. You don't often get to see them sitting on a log like this, perched so low. We of course do see it, but it's normally right at the edge of water, where they'll sit and or sit and wait. Sorry, you might hear a helicopter, Air Force Base, I suspect, or a conservation helicopter is just flying over. So yeah, so it's just kind of sitting there facing the wrong way, unless there's a little pool of water, or maybe there was some frog activity around where that heron was. But let's see, maybe we can find something else. A couple of elephants just in the background, as there always are. Oh, there's another crocodile. So none of the crocs are in the water today. They're all just sitting out in the sun. It didn't seem to be particularly hot. I had a look at the weather because I'm a little bit obsessed uh, with watching the weather and the weather systems that are coming in. Aaron, you're not going to catch anything for us. That's fine. Okay, we'll take that as a sign. Let's go back to Stony Point in the Western Cape and see if those young hyraxes are out and about. Oh no, look at this. Why did we even leave them in the first place? This is a wonderful angle. They're all in the soft vegetation. Oh, you can definitely see that these are youngsters. Look at the floof. Not staying out for too long though. And you can see there's an adult just sunning itself right at the top. So now you can see the size difference. That definitely makes sense. They look like little Chewbacca's from Star Wars. That's not what I imagined that they would look like when they were young. All getting on with one another. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that I can see there might be even more in between the crevices. Mindy, you've said it's hard to believe that the hyraxes are related to an elephant. I mean, isn't it? Isn't it so weird? Obviously, they're distant relatives, right? But there's a couple of similarities. Foot structure similar, mammary glands between the front legs, tooth structure also fairly similar. Uh, and when you say that to people, you should, I mean, for those of you that probably heard at the same time, do you remember the facial expression that you pulled? Because whenever I say that, eyes go up and kind of twist their nose out of joint, and it's always so funny to kind of hear that until you sort of explain it. Grumpy old man, you said Dusty Daycare. Oh, I like the alliteration there. That's exactly what is going on right now. It is most certainly the Dusty Daycare. Not venturing out too far though. It would be quite far. They'd be very vulnerable if they do so, especially if there's any predators around. Although I feel like at Stony Point, what would eat them? I mean, occasionally leopards linger around these areas, but that's unlikely. A caracal, potentially. There's plenty of caracal throughout the Western Cape. Last time I was there, I saw 3 different ones, and we weren't even looking, and I didn't expect to even see them in those areas, so that was surprising. What other birds of prey might be hanging around? Like a pelican would try and eat one of these if they could. They shove anything down their throats. Oh, and so apparently you've seen genets, water mongoose, what else? And otters. Yeah, I don't know if I doubt even I mean, genets maybe, but on same thing. I don't know. I don't think any of those animals would really prey um, on something like a hyrax. I would imagine though caracal, and it's probably why these populations get so big, is that there aren't really any major predators that will keep the populations in control. Kaoru, you've asked, why do dassies prefer rocks to live on and in? Well, it's a natural cave system. So firstly, they don't have to dig or waste energy creating like any kind of burrow system or anything along those lines. And it provides good shelter. So also, rocks retain heat, so it's going to be nice and warm for them in there. And seen as though dassies are the ultimate worshippers of the sun, it kind of would make sense. That one looks like it can barely keep its eyes open. They all look so funny though. They either look really angry, sort of like grumpy, that they maybe haven't had enough sleep. They're very sweet. But then you also get tree hyraxes, and they will also utilize a cave system, but it's not unusual to find them up in trees. So like in East Africa and Kenya, you see a lot of tree hyraxes. And they're amazing at climbing. You wouldn't think so, though. But they can bound about and do all sorts of things better than you and I could. Oh, that is so sweet. Look at the foot. Look at that little back foot that's just sticking out. You're getting squashed. What are they doing to it? Are you even alive? Must be. Are you trying to roll your sibling or cousin over? Oh, this is too sweet. They also could just be playing. All animals will play. Not really defending itself much. And there we go. I can't say that I've actually ever seen dassies playing with one another. They also remind me of little seals, don't you think? Their little faces. Oh my goodness, this is a great size comparison. It looks like a wombat has just rolled in. Of course, we know that they're not wombats, they're dassies or hyraxes. And look, oh, you can see the teeth now. No, come back, adult. What I was actually going to say to you is if you've ever seen hyraxes, and I suppose this is a great camera to potentially see it, but next time you watch them feeding, they have got the worst table manners I've ever seen. Right? We talk about lions, how they all scrap over carcasses and they get blood all over their faces. Watch these things. They don't close their mouth when they chew. They and you watch the vegetation all start to fall out. And I just think to myself, firstly, you just want to get a toothbrush and brush those teeth. Also, they different directions. Oh, not great. Not my favorite. Dentists wouldn't be too impressed with their with their teeth. April, you said the little ones are learning how to bound through the rocks. One keeps falling. Yeah, it's going to take them a little bit of practice. Although they are very capable, of course, of moving around, like I was saying, soon after they've been born. But it is going to take a bit of time. So that's why playing like that is so good for the muscle development. And then, of course, just to become a bit more sure-footed. So be hesitant to leap around, but as they grow up, I have no doubt that they leap to a rock and miss it occasionally. And then, of course, huddling on top of one another, you're going to keep nice and warm. Oh, there you go. Come on. Yeah, struggling a little bit to climb up all that way. Oh, but plopping down is not a problem. So something else that could be a predator to hyraxes, and I suppose this is actually with any animal, is people. But thankfully, Stony Point is a protected area, but you know what us as humans are like. Sometimes we can't help ourselves. But they are also hunted for meat, and then their pelts, their fur is so, so, so soft. Um, I've never felt it, but it looks like you just really nicely run your hand through their hair, their fur, sorry. So that would be a problem. But unless someone would come and do that at night, they'd find themselves in hot water. If they were caught, they might even be charged with poaching. Oh, Andy, you said jackal, buzzards, and harriers. That could be potential predators. Yeah, absolutely. So I haven't spent much time in this area. Do you see a lot of the jackal buzzards hanging around the coastal areas? I mean, like on the beach, because not their usual habitat, but birds of prey are also highly adaptable. And if that's all that's on offer, then why not? So let me know if that is the case, Andy. I haven't seen a black harrier. Man, it's been years. The last time I saw a black harrier would have been the Eastern Cape, actually on a reserve called Kariga Game Reserve. That's where I've seen plenty. Because I'm just thinking back to the Eastern Cape, and I hadn't seen too many birds of prey uh, around on the coast. Obviously, we don't have sea eagles, but if we did have sea eagles, it'd probably be a threat to them. Becky, you just want to sit in the middle of all of them, me too, and give them a cuddle. It's so hard to resist doing that and kind of just observing and keeping a distance. That's one of the toughest things for guides, because of course we all want to go in there and give especially young animals a cuddle. I wouldn't like to give an adult a cuddle. I think that would be very painful. I wouldn't want to be bitten with one of those teeth. I'm doing a little bit of grooming. So they've also got something called a grooming claw. I'm sure you've heard of this before, which is invaluable and is super helpful to keep all that fur nice and neat. Oh, very scratchy. Oh, I want at the top trying to have a scratch and also almost falling over. Perhaps you need to do that lying down. But now just taking it easy. But they're not going to be very active right now, as it's almost 4:30, so it's starting to get quite cool. The sun is going to drop behind the horizon eventually, and hyraxes or at least the rock hyraxes, are not nocturnal. We hear the tree hyraxes. My goodness, they do not keep quiet, and it sounds like a person screaming in distress. So yeah, that's quite eerie. I mean, hyraxes in general don't have the most wonderful vocalizations, but thankfully the rock hyraxes go to sleep. Oh, plop straight on top of another one. This has to be one of the cutest sightings I've ever, actually the cutest sighting I've ever had of hyraxes. We don't get to always see them up close like this because they'll typically run away and head into the crevices. But around a place like Stony Point or other areas that are visited regularly by people, as we know, animals become accustomed and they won't be so sensitive. So you probably get some great photos of the hyraxes. I know when I've gone to places like Plettenberg Bay and done some of the hikes around there, that's also kind of between Port Elizabeth and Cape Town, and had hyraxes just a couple of meters away from them. And next time I go to those areas, I'm most certainly going to video them munching about, so you can see how all that vegetation just spews out of their mouth. It's not my favorite, but still interesting to watch. Oh, look at their cute little tummies. There you can see the youngsters' eyes are growing heavy now. Then they need a lot of sleep in comparison to the adults, like all young animals. But sadly, that's all the time that we have for you today. Goodness, I can't believe how quickly the Africam show has gone. But I will be back with you on Thursday. I'm not sure who's going to be hosting Wild Moments with me. But until then, have a wonderful week, and I'll see you Thursday.